In the early morning hours of April 1986, a strange silence fell over the town of Kali, located in Eastern Europe. It was a peaceful place to live. In fact, its main claim to fame was being home to a world-renowned porcelain factory. The townspeople were proud of their work, crafting exquisite plates and figurines that were exported around the globe. They had little awareness of the danger they were in. The night before, over 200 residents had collapsed in their homes without warning. Some were found slumped over kitchen tables, others lying face down in their beds. At first glance, it looked like a massive murder. But as the first responders arrived, they noticed no signs of violence, no struggle, not even a dropped dish. It was as if the townspeople had been turned to stone. Eyewitnesses later told of a thick white cloud drifting through the streets in the early morning hours, carrying a strange humming vibration. Dogs reportedly barked incessantly and refused to stop howling for hours. By morning, more than 200 people lay still in the eerie silence. Medical examiners found that all the victims had died from respiratory failure after inhaling an unknown chemical compound. Authorities quickly classified the incident, sealing off the town, burning the victims' houses and turning the porcelain factory into a crime scene. Within days, most traces of the disaster were gone. The entire event was erased from public records, and a military task force moved in to decontaminate the area. Residents who survived were relocated and given strict orders not to speak of what had happened. Those who did often found themselves mysteriously silenced, their memories conveniently fading. For decades, this was the official story, the product of a secret government experiment gone wrong. But recent investigations have uncovered new evidence, and now experts are asking, could this have been a top-secret Soviet bioweapon test? Before we get into that, let's talk about the background of this mysterious disaster. The Cold War was a time of nuclear terror, when the threat of mutually assured destruction hung over the entire planet. To make matters worse, there were no rules. As the superpowers raced to build bigger and better weapons, they also explored biological warfare, developing terrifying toxins and plagues to use against their enemies. When one side developed a new bioweapon, the other would often follow suit, escalating the arms race. The Soviets worked tirelessly to develop the perfect biological weapon, investing significant resources into researching and creating powerful toxins that could incapacitate or kill their targets. As they experimented with deadly viruses and bacteria, they also looked into chemical weapons, testing various compounds that could burn through human flesh with terrifying speed. All of this was done in secret, hidden away in remote labs, and tucked deep within military installations. But sometimes accidents happened. In the winter of 1985, a Soviet scientist accidentally released a deadly strain of anthrax. The leak spread to nearby villages, killing dozens of unsuspecting civilians. Rather than coming clean, the Soviet government tried to cover up the disaster, moving the victims to undisclosed locations and silencing anyone who knew about the outbreak. This pattern of secrecy and deception would continue for years. Then came Operation Godot. Between 1979 and 1991, the Soviet Union carried out a series of secretive open-air bioweapon tests near the town of Kali. The goal was to determine how well different agents performed under real-world conditions. While the specifics remain classified, it's believed that the Soviets tested the effects of various chemical compounds during these operations. Now let's return to the disaster in 1986. What happened that night? Was it a tragic accident or something more sinister? Here's what we know. On the night of April 1986, a strange humming vibration was heard by many residents. Some described it as the sound of a jet engine, while others said it resembled the buzzing of a large electrical transformer. Within hours, hundreds of people would collapse in their homes, found by family members in the morning, slumped over their kitchen tables or lying in their beds. When medical examiners analyzed the victims, they found that they had all died from respiratory failure after inhaling an unknown chemical compound. But when they searched the town, they found no source of the toxin. All the buildings were tightly sealed, ruled out a gas leak, and yet somehow an unknown chemical had seeped into every home. To this day, the chemical remains unidentified, officially classified. But some believe it was a Soviet bioweapon gone wrong, perhaps an experiment from Operation Godot. This is supported by the fact that the Soviets had been secretly testing chemical weapons in the area for years. Additionally, The fact that the victims died from respiratory failure after inhaling an unknown chemical points to a toxic release as opposed to a targeted attack. Yet the biggest clue might be the silence that followed. After the disaster, the Soviets attempted to cover it up, relocating survivors and destroying evidence. Even more disturbing, the entire town's digital records seem to have vanished overnight, as if erased from history itself. It's important to note that despite the similarities, this incident differs from the 1988 Bhopal disaster, where a gas leak from a pesticide plant killed thousands of people in India. The Kaliningrad incident involved an unknown chemical, a characteristic feature of Soviet bioweapon testing. Furthermore, the extent of including the relocation of survivors and the destruction of evidence, points to a deliberate attempt to conceal the truth. What do you think? Was this a weapon or an accident? Let us know in the comments below.